So I will call the meeting to order. We have one change to the agenda. We need to add an item to discuss a letter of resignation. And I would suggest that we put that right before transact other legal business after committee reports. Is that good with everybody? Okay. So we need to approve the minutes, and we have two sets of minutes. So we have the minutes from our January 6th meeting and the minutes from the special meeting on January 13th. I don't know if anyone opposes putting them together for approval. So if someone wants to make that motion.
I move that we approve the minutes of both dates.
Thank you, George. Is there a second? Thank you, Liz. Is there any corrections to either of those minutes? John?
Just a couple of little snarskies. Under number 4, public input and announcements, your name has to be capitalized. Just below that on the next line, the word complaints is misspelled. It's also misspelled in the last sentence in that same paragraph. And then number 8, regarding the support staff agreement, Mr. McKenna noted this negotiation has been pleasant. And that's it.
Okay,
John,
great.
which date was that?
What's that?
Which date minutes was that, the first set?
Yes, the first set, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
The regular full board meeting.
Okay, anything anybody noticed with regard to the second meeting on the 13th? Okay, so then all those in favor of approving the minutes of January 6th and January 13th as amended, please give me a thumbs up. Anyone opposed, please say no. And anyone abstaining, please say so. Okay, there you go. So we'll move on to number 4. And before we do, I don't think we have anyone for public input, do we? No?
And
okay.
No updates? Okay.
Okay, but we do have an announcement, so I will turn it over to John.
So I wanted to share with the group and the community, we have a student athlete that has achieved something that I think is definitely noteworthy. Junior Tyler Corey, who in 3 years of varsity soccer scored over 50 goals for us. Over the summer was accepted into a development program with Major League Soccer's Orlando City Soccer Club. And I found out a little over a week and a half ago that so his departure for that development program was delayed due to COVID. He left January 1st and started with that program. And I found out about a week and a half ago that he had been accepted to their under 18 team, which is a significant accomplishment with one of the best soccer development programs in the country. So I thought it was important to let the community know and to recognize an accomplishment for one of our homegrown student athletes. Tyler is both an excellent soccer player and a really good person as well. So I'm very proud of him as both his as the father of one of his friends and as one of his coaches. So thank you for letting me share that with everyone.
Well, thank you, John. That was really nice, good news to share, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. And congratulations to him, because that's quite an accomplishment. He and his parents should be very proud. Does anyone else have any other announcements? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to our Rowland Fellowship presentation with Kristen Simonetti. Dave, did you want to introduce Kristen?
You know, I could introduce Kristen, and I could probably say things that would make her both proud and embarrassed, but I'd actually like to defer to Tyler, and just as Mill River principal who has a real handle on the project, if Tyler, you wouldn't mind doing an intro for Kristen, that'd be great.
Yeah. So Kristen's going to talk to you about something that we've been working on quite a bit lately. I know I can speak for Andrew and myself, because we've been working with Kristen quite a bit on this project. We're very proud of Kristen, and I think this is going to be I know this is going to be a big thing for Mill River. Again, I don't want to get into the details, but if I can tease you guys a little bit, Chuck Graham, the head of the Roland Foundation, said something to Kristen when she brought her proposal to him. In one of her interviews, he said either this is going to be the biggest thing that Mill River or any school really can see, or it's going to be a colossal failure. And however, we all know, knowing Kristen, it's going to be the biggest thing. So I don't want to spoil anything for that. And from the conversations that I've had through Kristen that Chuck has said so far, he is beyond impressed with her work, and so are Andrew and I. And I know I can speak for Dave and the whole rest of the school district that we're looking forward to implementing this. And again, I don't want to give anything away because that's Kristen's job. So without any further ado, Kristen, you wow them.
Thank you so much for letting me join you guys tonight. Avoiding colossal failure is definitely #1 on my priority list. Working together with my steering committee and my advisory committee, I'm so excited to be able to share with you the work that we've done so far. Just to kind of give you a lay of the land and some background, the Roland Foundation is this incredible organization that is all about joining in a partnership with a teacher to be able to give that teacher time and resources to really reflect, to propose something that is new out of the box, to study the data, do the research, do the reading, and really bring something to the table that is really going to impact a school's culture and enhance the climate for really positive learning environment. The Roland Foundation gives up to 10 fellowships to Vermont secondary teachers every single year. They are currently holding interviews right now for the 2021 Roland Fellows. I was honored with the fellowship for the 2020 cohort, and there are only 81 fellows in the state of Vermont. The first class started in 2009, and the current 2020 cohort is working together. And I'm really, really excited about the opportunity to work together with other amazing educators from around the state. And I know that my project is stronger because of my ability to collaborate with other educators on their projects as well. We also have another Roland Fellow in the mix. If you do not know, Andrew Jones was a Roland Fellow in 2015, and his proposal was on project-based learning. I'm super excited to have him as part of my steering committee, as he's already gone through this process and implemented a Roland project in his school. And he has, of course, brought all of his amazing knowledge to us at the MRUUSD. So I'm really excited to have him on board. His wisdom has been so important to me as we've been rolling this work forward. The 2020 fellows this year have projects that are kind of all over the board. We have a climate change project. We have an anti-racism project. There's a student journalism project. There's closing the gender gap between in computer technology. You know, things are all over the place as far as the projects. So it's really exciting to kind of bring music education as a topic to the Roland fellowship. There has been another music proposal a few years back, but nothing that's been choral music focused. So I'm really excited to be a music educator in the mix of the 81. My particular project is called Cultivating Academic Performers, Leveraging the Power of Authentic Audience to Inspire Excellence. And my vision is to replicate the systems and structures that make our music program exemplary within an all-school instructional model. This model will focus on high expectations, student equity, intense scaffolding, and authentic performance-based assessment. The strong foundation of Mill River Arts instruction, along with the support of my mentor, Tyler Wiedemann, and the collaboration of these amazing colleagues that we have in our school district that can lend their expertise, will enable me to develop a professional development program that's going to foster increased student achievement and engagement. This Rowland project is in direct alignment with some of our district's initiatives, especially proficiency-based learning and our equity initiative. My hope is that the energy and support of the Rowland project will propel the work forward that's already happening in MRUUSD, and will just make things more effective in our school. This new approach to our instruction and assessment will provide a pathway for genuine and authentic change to occur at Mill River, but also be a model for schools across the state to be able to look at and study and perhaps adopt at their school as well. So there's 3 specific deliverables that my steering committee and advisory committee are working on. The first is the educational model, which highlights the authentic performance-based assessments, high expectations, and equity for all students that will not only enhance our music education classrooms, but will also provide a framework for other teachers to use in any content area. And we've already, as the steering and advisory committee, completed our first deliverable, and I'm really excited about that. Our second deliverable is in progress, and that is creating a professional development program along with a unique template and structure that can be specifically tailored to every subject area in our school and in any classroom in Vermont. And we are in process on that. The template is pretty much complete, and then we're working into the professional development stage. And the last deliverable is engaging professional development opportunities, as well as resources, strong resources and strong assessments that are going to ensure that our classroom teachers who are the expert in their fields are prepared to assess students through authentic performance-based assessment. So the ultimate goal of this work would be to create a positive shift in our school culture toward performance as the most authentic representation of learning and assessment, all at the same time reinforcing the belief that embracing our diversity creates more meaningful learning experiences for everyone. This cultural transformation is going to take time, a lot of hard work, partnerships, a lot of collaboration, and important hard work. Quality professional development is going to be really key. And we're going to have to continue to stand firm on the pillars of high expectations, authentic performance assessments, and equity for all, while creating energy and momentum towards a sustainable change. So thanks so much for letting me share a little bit about the work. The steering committee has been meeting monthly for 2 hours at a time, really diving in and collaboratively creating these deliverables together. And then our advisory committee is coming together about, once every other month, just kind of overseeing and getting us a different perspective and bringing some really, really valuable input as far as resources and how to maybe customize and make our work more efficient. So that's where we're at right now. I'm really excited about how far we've gotten, especially considering our current circumstances with COVID-19 and our compromised schedule with having people at Google Meet instead of being able to meet in person. But we've really been able to push ahead, and the energy is contagious. My steering committee is so exciting, and they're so encouraging to me. And my advisory committee met the first week that we got back from the winter break. And they were just so encouraging and had so many fresh ideas about how we can support teachers and students in embracing this new way to engage with learning. And we really want to leverage our students because they're really asking for more voice, and they really want to be seen, and they really want to be heard. So I'm really excited about incorporating students as we roll this work forward. So that's kind of my piece of things. I welcome any clarifying questions if you guys have anything you want to ask me.
Go ahead, George.
Very good. Nice to see you, Kristen. It's been a while.
Nice to see you too.
I've been a fan for a long time, and I think you do tremendous work with students. And this project sounds like something that you're going to really shine and do a great job in, and I wish you the best of luck. And without reservation, I know that I can say that you are certainly a lady of note.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. Liz, did you have your hand up?
I did. So, Kristen, congratulations on your fellowship. That's really an honor. So thank you for applying for it, because I know a lot goes into the application. So my question is, do students have choice in their performance medium?
That's a really good question. And that's something that our steering committee has been talking about a lot. So it's really important to note that when I talk about authentic audience, That audience can be their peers within a classroom. It could be submitting writing or work for the Vermont Digger. There's tons of different ways that we can leverage authentic audience. We could even, our fabulous art department has display cases where they promote and display student work. So it's really important to remember that a performance looks really different depending on the content area, which is really important with our template. So we want to make sure that there's so many versions of performance. And the ideal is that students are going to have voice and choice regarding their comfort levels as far as performance as we move forward. We would really like to see students demonstrate their learning in many, many different ways and having more opportunities to maybe showcase this incredible learning that's happening at Mill River for our community to see. And that can take on a lot of different forms.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone else have any question or comment? I just want to say that I am lucky and very fortunate to have been asked by Kristen to be part of her advisory committee, and it's just so wonderful to see the enthusiasm that she has when we have our advisory meetings, and I just can't wait to see how this progresses, because the ideas and the discussions that we've had and the enthusiasm that Kristen's shown has just been amazing. So I thought it would be really neat to have her share that with all of you, so that everyone could be aware of what's going on. And I think that if anyone had any ideas, that Kristen would absolutely love to hear them. So kind of opening up that door too for her. So thank you so much, Kristen. If nobody has any other questions, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm really open to, and if you walk away from this meeting tonight and you're like, I really want to ask her this, please feel free to send me your own message privately at Simonetti@millriverschools.org. I'd love to engage in more conversation regarding this project. And I'm really open to feedback. And thank you so much for your constant support of the arts, not only the board and also the community being so supportive of the arts. I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to School Board Recognition Month. Dave, that speaks of you. Yes.
It does. Thanks, Tammy. I just wanted to take a moment. I think most board members are aware of this, but January is dedicated as School Board Recognition Month across the state of Vermont. I hope that each of our board members has had the chance to submit. I believe you received a voucher for a free pair of Darn Tough socks. And if you don't want them, I'll let you know my size, because those are really nice socks. Happy to take those off your hands. But you all know this. I don't know if the community knows this, but the job of a board member is a job. It's not a job that you are paid handsomely for, but it's a job that requires your passion. It requires your time. It requires your energy. Sometimes it requires tears. And it's really, really important work. So on behalf of our team internally, we are grateful for the work that you all do. I know that our community on the whole is grateful for the work that you do and the way that you represent them. As I look at the group of folks on this page, this is my 7th year in the district. I've had the pleasure of working with George, with Tammy, with John, with Adrian, and with Doug the entire time I've been in my role as superintendent. And so even the stability of some of the folks that have been around even long before I started here, that work is commendable, not just for the long timers, but even for folks who've been here for a few less years. So please know that we're grateful and thankful, and happy School Board Recognition Month.
Thank you. We will move on with principal updates. So who would like to go first? Don't all jump at once. How about Maureen? I see you first.
Okay. So up at Timoth, we have 4 new students since October from out of district that signed up, which is boosting our declining enrollment this year. And also, we have implemented, the teachers actually have on their own have implemented a after school tutoring program from that 2 to 3 o'clock time period. And it's been wildly successful. We have like half the K through 6th graders, which in Timoth is about 20 kids attending. So that's really boosting some of the grades. Students who are are below grade level in reading are all getting a double dose of reading. A lot of that has to do with our support from our intervention team. And all but one student has returned from remote learning. So we only have one student on remote learning, that's big because they do so much better when they're in person than when they're remote as far as the progress in learning. And finally, I just found out today that we were approved for, we received a $3,200 grant from VPA for snowshoes so that we can continue with our trailhead and getting those kids outside and in the woods in their classrooms. So good news. And the days are getting longer and spring is going to be here soon. So, and that's it up at Timoth, except for it's still snowing up there.
Thank you, Maureen. That's great news.
Yeah.
Dan, how are things in Wallingford?
Well, it's good to be back in person, and that comes with people interacting with one another in a closer, more personal basis. And so we've had the usual kid-on-kid situations, but our staff has had a big push on restorative practices. And so that has kind of become our ammo to address some of these situations that arise. And I don't want to speak on specific cases, but I do see the positive impact on outcomes after incidents where we actually work with the students and we get them to really empathize with one another through the situation, to where I am far more confident sending students back out into the hallways and out into the recess on the playground together without worrying about repeat offenses. And today that work continued in one of our staff meetings, piggybacking on the work that we did as a leadership team, going through some of the restorative conversations that you would have with younger students, the 3 stages of restorative practices. And so it's been a good ride. It's going to be a long ride ahead as we all continue to work on and revamp the language that we use when addressing students where there might be possibly heated situations. But we're really excited, and the staff is completely on board. It measures up with some of our new school-wide expectations that has come from within the staff to kind of simplify and bring it down to the student's level, so it's clear and applicable across all the board. We have come up with the acronym PAUSE. I guess we didn't come up with that, but everyone knows it. But it stands for our expectations. So practice respect, accept responsibility, work together, and then safety first. And we just feel like it's more simplistic. Students and staff can repeat it, and we can apply it in all situations. So there's a lot of work going in, and I think it's important to do, especially during this time of COVID. We know that we've all nationwide and worldwide been having to face some challenges that we probably didn't see coming. But I'm just excited and thrilled that my whole staff is on board, and we're all working together to help support our students and even our families during these interesting, trying times. We're making the best out of it. And that building relationships piece is definitely kind of the front running of all of our work, and it's guiding all of our work. So we're doing great, and we're loving it.
Great. Thank you, Dan. Hi, Fred. How are things in Clarendon?
Things are terrific. Wonderful place to work. I love being there. Culture is wonderful. The kids are great. So that's what's going on in Clarendon so far. First, congratulations, Kristen. I would wish you good luck, but good luck's the residue of hard work. And I know you're going to have intense good luck because you work really hard at what you do. And truly, thank you guys too for serving. I think it's appropriate that we recognize you, because you work selflessly all year long and nobody really says thank you. So thank you, because it is a tough job. I did it for 5 years myself, and it's very rewarding, but it's tough. So thank you guys for that. I've got three things to share. The first of one is the same thing that Maureen shared in regards to the tutoring. We were lucky, Coral and our special ed staff have secured some paraprofessionals to work with us because most of our teachers are doing the remote learning from 2 to 3. So to be able to use some of that time with our shortened day, we have very small groups that have focused on skill sets and curriculum focuses that would help those particular kids and improving and having fun. It's done with a different perspective, hopefully very kid friendly, and they're enjoying it. But we have, I would say six small groups going right now, and we're doing it Monday through Friday, 2 to 3. So that's going really well. We're always looking for solutions for engaging our kids, especially our remote kids. And we're very lucky. And I can't remember if I shared this with you because I had to skip one of the meetings, but we have a paraprofessional working remotely that is pretty much focused in on all of the remote learners. And that tremendously enhances and increases the amount of time that they have FaceTime. And she's a retired teacher, so it's that's very helpful. She's working very closely with the teachers. So, the teachers have maybe 2 half-hour sessions with the kids, and she gets to meet with them once a day for probably 40 minutes and maybe even more in smaller groups. So it's really working out well. And lastly, school-wide support, school-wide initiatives, school-wide planning. School-wide is a buzzword now with COVID because they're worried about the COVID slide. And, there's a slide in the summer, there's a slide on vacation, there's a slide on COVID. We're always looking to keep the kids caught up. So how can we do that? And how can we shorten or mitigate the slide? Our teachers are working in their PLCs. Each one of them is doing something, doing some research and implementing something that would improve the work across the board. And then they're sharing that out with their colleagues so that we can, have more designed instructional delivery and outcomes that are consistent with our language so that we're doing the best that we can with all kids and trying to, again, mitigate any kind of a slide. I just had another meeting today with our 5th and 6th grade group, and when you go to try to schedule the PLCs, and they're all like, we don't have time. But when you're in there, by the time we left, they were like, we should do this every day. It's like, yeah, that would be beneficial, but we don't have the time for that. So we're trying to do it at least twice a month, if not maybe once a week. But right now, that's their enthusiasm driving this thing, and I'm excited for them.
Thank you, Fred. Hi, Jody. How's Shrewsbury?
Good evening. Shrewsbury is snowy as usual. Sometimes we can say that in May, but it is a happy place and we are plugging along, really appreciating this large chunk of learning between breaks. We've been doing some assessment in this January assessment window and super proud of the teachers and the kiddos with the data that's coming back. Before we went out for Christmas break, we were very lucky to have a week-long artist in residency with Seon Camara Drumming, which was through a grant with the Vermont Arts Council planned for last spring. Now, because we couldn't do that, we decided we would do it in December through Zoom. And they were amazing. The kids had a wonderful time learning how to play some West Guinean songs on their table drums and dancing in their spots. And it was just so cool to get a window into the music of another culture. So that was really fun. We unfortunately are not able to do our winter sports program as we normally would, but we are planning all kinds of fun adventures that we can do socially distanced on our beautiful campus, everything from making ice sun catchers to some extra sledding time. So the kids are really enjoying that. Overall, just, so happy to hear giggles all day long and be back with everybody. And again, like usual, just so proud of our teachers for their resiliency, their strength, and their skill this year.
Excellent. Thank you, Jody. Hi, Tyler. How are things at the high school?
Busy, extremely busy. You wouldn't think we're mid-year. You think it's really the beginning of the year. It's strange how busy the last couple weeks have been. I don't know how to explain it, but busy. Before I get into Mill River, I want to congratulate Kristen as well. Great presentation tonight, and it's interesting. I think we can all understand how in meetings sometimes there's some back channeling going on, some conversation going on, and whenever we're having meetings with Kristen, I can guarantee you, and I can tell you for a fact that Andrew and Jen and I are always going in the background. Oh, this is gonna be good. We're gonna do this. This will be great for next year. Oh, we really capitalize on this. We really need to sell this. We need to do this. So I'm really proud of Kristen. It's going to be a great project, and I think it's going to do a lot of things for Mill River, and we're really excited about it. Andrew is not a very emotional guy. Doesn't really get hyped up too much, but he has texted me in all caps a couple times saying, "We got to work on this. We got to move on this." So we're excited for it, and it's going to be good. So Mill River, I'm going to keep it short because we got a lot to do tonight. But probably the biggest thing for Mill River right now is we start the second semester on Monday, which is crazy. I can't believe that we're already halfway through the year. I've put out to the community last week that we are going to adjust some things for the second semester, specifically our schedule. Right now, our kids see their teachers once a week, even though they're in 2 days a week in person. They have 4 classes a day, so they see half their schedule one day, half the schedule the other day. We are changing that now. It's back to our normal 8-block schedule, so they will see each of their teachers twice a week. And then we also put in a Wednesday mandatory virtual day for our remote learners and our in-person learners, albeit virtual, as a lab style class, so that really that contact time with their teachers are really going to increase. I think we're going to see some pretty good dividends from this. And I think we can all say that our kids need that contact time. Ultimately, we're working towards the goal of, trying to be back in school 5 days a week and everyone being in the building. But we know at this time that's not possible. That's our goal down the line. And hopefully we get there soon. Fingers crossed, but, we'll see. But I really think the schedule change is going to do a lot for us and a lot for our kids. And, it's interesting. It's if we talk to a student, a teacher, a parent right now, everyone's saying we need more time. And I think this is really going to do that for them. So that's gonna be really good. And I'm gonna cut myself off now because I want to turn it over to Jen because she has 2 very exciting things to talk about. And one of what things she's gonna talk about, we only learned about 3.5 hours ago. So Jen, go for it.
So first I want to say thank you to the board for all the work you do. My husband is a board member in another district, and so I have firsthand knowledge of all of the work that goes into this that isn't just on screen, but that happens in your committees and everything else that takes you away from your family. But it's such important work, and I just want to say thank you for that too. So I also received a VPA mini grant that we applied for $4,000 to help do the Maple Sugar House project that the school's been working on. So Tim Parent has a group of students that he works on that is actually building a maple sugar house for Mill River, which is really cool. And so he's been asking for local businesses to donate to that. And I was like, oh, geez, well, if we could just get some money to help support it and move it forward. It's been a 2-year project from what I can see, and probably way longer than that. So we were able to secure that. And then we also secured another grant for $2,500 for a job coach position to help students find jobs in the community, help build their resume, apply to jobs. And so Brad Rideout has been working on that. And so we want to get the word out to, if your kid's looking for a job, we will help you find it. So just another good thing that we're doing in the building.
Oh, excellent. Congratulations. Yes. Whoa, very good. Such good news to share. Thank you. So we'll move then on to, anyone have any questions? DJ, go ahead.
Tyler, actually, and Jennifer, one of the things I'm wondering about, flexible pathways during this time of COVID, especially when the Wednesdays, has students been able to take advantage of having these Wednesdays off to apply those? And I'm only saying this because I know Tori, my daughter's taken it upon herself to start working at a photography studio a couple hours during Wednesdays because she had that time. And I thought that was a great opportunity that she's took it upon herself to do. But I can also see students, since they're not physically in school could really apply these other things. I don't know. That's not necessarily a comment, but it's just a statement. Or
Well, yeah, yes and no. It's up until next Wednesday. Wednesdays have been scripted for kids. They are working on stuff from their teachers, albeit in a flexible manner, so they do have some time. It's kind of hard right now with to get kids out in the community because the community is not really accepting of people in terms of putting them out there because of COVID. So we have seen a decrease in that just because of kids out in the area. When a student comes to us and says, "Hey, I want to explore this," we help them in every way possible. And if we need to change their schedule, have some flexible time with their schedule, we do that. Coming up in this next semester, it's going to be a little more difficult to do so just because we are requiring attendance for that Wednesday class so that we can keep tabs on kids and make sure they're progressing and, enrich where we can and remediate when we need to. I wish I had a definite answer for you. Is kind of COVID everything right now of when we can do something, we're going to be as flexible as we can be, and then get kids out. And hopefully, as things start to progress with COVID and communities start to open up a little bit more in the coming months, yes, we will get kids out there and be able to be flexible with their time.
And just to add to that, I think we've actually had our dual enrollment numbers. So kids that can take college level credits go higher because they're all online primarily. And so kids can be in school with us and take a college class at the same time, and they don't have to manage the schedule of when are they going to be able to do that. We do have quite a few kids that on their off days are going somewhere and working somewhere in the two days they're not with us right now.
And actually, really one quick thing, that actually has been, as Jen said, we have had quite a few kids come to us and say, can I get some kind of work experience, or can I continue my job? We've had employers contact us because kids aren't allowed to work during the work hours or the school hours of the day. That has been, we have seen an uptick in that. And again, like I said, we're as flexible as we can be, given the parameters that we have.
Excellent. Adrian, you have a question or a comment?
Oh, I just wanted to say I'm really, really pleased that that money was found, Jen, to help kids get employment. I think if we could grow that and get kids out to at least that will give them that exploration piece too. And if we could extend it to more kids, I think that would be phenomenal. See how it goes, but thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Great. Thank you so much for your updates. This is all wonderful news. It's so nice to hear. And we'll move on to central office reports. So Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. Appreciate everyone being here. And of course, once again, appreciate our school board members for the work that you do in public and behind the scenes to help things operate. And I'd like to also extend thanks and gratitude and pride to Kristen for the work that's underway. Still a lot of work ahead and multi-year project to keep us moving in a positive direction. But I'm grateful, and we're grateful for the work that Kristen is doing. I'd like to, just for my report, I told the board that I was going to share a verbal report with you tonight. And actually, I just want to share some enrollment data with you. Seems timely to share with you a little bit about the number of students that we are seeing in school and kind of how that's broken down. So I'm hoping you can see my screen currently. If somebody can give me a thumbs up to say yeah. And I'm hoping the font is large enough. If somebody can give me a thumbs up on that too. Cool, perfect. So first, it's worth you knowing that October 1st is a marker in every school year. That's when we take our enrollment figures that we do projections to start building the budget for the following year with. That's also the date that the state takes our enrollment figures to plan the statewide finance aspect of schools. So the figures you're seeing on this first screen are October 1st figures. I've provided 5 years worth of data for you. And these are actual numbers of students enrolled in school. So you can see some of the trends from school to school. So Clarendon, just as an example, 169 in 2016, 2 years later in 2018, 171, peak year of the 5 years in 2019, and then 154 for this year. So comparing 2016 to 17, you can see our overall enrollment was down just under 1%. 2018 from 2017, up 1%. 2019 was down 0.8%. In 2020, in the COVID context, overall enrollment down 9.5%. That's a number that we've been sharing very publicly. And when asked by the reporter from the Herald, Jim Sabatasso, a couple weeks ago, Stan and I shared that we conservatively
You froze, Dave.
of
Oh, there
that
you go.
9.5. Oh, sorry about that. Not sure what you heard, but we're conservatively planning for 5 or 6% of that 9.5% to be back with us. But that's where we are at the moment. I think it's worth you looking at what we had projected for this school year versus what our actual October 1st enrollment was. So you can see the numbers there. We projected 176 at Clarendon. Actual was 154, and you can see the difference from projected. The most interesting number there is Shrewsbury. Jody would probably tell the story better than I would, but essentially, you know, we have seen folks who have come to our community and come to Shrewsbury because of COVID, because they wanted to be in a place like Shrewsbury during the COVID experience, and some of those families are potentially sticking with us for the longer term. So we'll see what that looks like overall. But the overall difference from projection that we see for our overall district enrollment is minus 10%. And again, we're expecting conservatively 5 or 6% of that back in planning and thinking that way. Another piece of data I'd just like to show you is breaking down some of the other numbers. So these are the numbers as of yesterday that are enrolled in our school. So you can see those numbers are slightly lower than the October 1st numbers. And if you think about where we were October 1st, different time period, right? We had everybody in remote learning at that point in time. We had not come back to in-person school, and we were a few weeks in advance of that occurring. So overall, our current enrollment is down 12.2% from what we projected. If you look at the numbers of full remote students, so these are families that chose to not send their kids to school at all, but they are still enrolled with us. You can see the numbers at each of our schools. Mill River, obviously the highest because it has the highest population, but you can also see a school like Timoth has 1 fully remote student, whereas Wallingford has 9, Shrewsbury has 16. So just looking at the way that plays out in each community is unique. And as you can see, fully remote students are 9.2% of our overall enrolled total. The most updated data we have from the state, students that are registered with the state as officially homeschooling, keep in mind that's not remote learning, that's officially homeschooled. They are withdrawn from school. They're not on our rosters. They're not reflected in these enrollment figures. You can see how those numbers play out. And there's some interesting data there. You can see that our highest homeschool population is actually at Wallingford Elementary as opposed to at Mill River. So you can see how those decisions play out in different communities. So we have about the same number of students who are fully removed from school and homeschooling as we do on full remote. It's just interesting to look at that. If you were to take, just from the standpoint of thinking about where are the students in our communities who are of public school age, that's what that enrolled plus homeschool column is there. So basically Clarendon 148 plus 12, that's where the 160 comes from, if you can see how the math plays out. So the kids that we actually have around that we know about, that number is 876. So when you compare those enrolled plus homeschool numbers, you can see kind of what's happening to our population overall. Now, the only folks that are missing from that are any families that have moved or families that have chosen to enroll their students in independent or, you know, private type of institutions. And that's not data that we have readily made available to us. But just wanted you to kind of see the overall trends that we're looking at. And this is the most updated data from yesterday that I would have to share with you. Happy to take any questions on that or on anything else. I'll leave this screen up for a moment just in case somebody wants to point to it. I see BJ and then John. Tammy, do you want me to do that or?
Nope, yeah, you can. You have
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, BJ then John.
Dave, do you have any information on like the overall enrollment for other schools around the state or around the area?
Like tangible data in hand, no. Anecdotally, what I hear from colleagues are very similar experiences to what we've seen. Similar in terms of the percentage of students opting for fully remote, and similar in terms of the percentage of decrease in enrollment overall. But that's anecdotally, BJ. That's not actual data that I have in hand.
Yeah.
Thanks. John, I know you had a question.
Just curious on the homeschooling, how do those numbers compare with previous years?
John, I knew you were going to ask that, and that was the one piece of data I didn't pull together yet. So Ann and I get those reports frequently. I'll look at that and get you an update on that comparison.
Okay, just curious, just to put it in COVID perspective, how many of those kids are maybe homeschooled because of COVID? Because I've heard, again, anecdotally, I've heard that in the community. that people have said, well, if my kids are going to be fully remote, I'm just going to homeschool them.
Yes.
And there was also a backlog early on of people trying to get officially registered as homeschooling. Do you know if that's cleared?
Yeah, I don't know that that's fully cleared, but I know they claim to be close to cleared, but there was a several week backlog in the early stages. John, it was interesting. If we're looking at like the October, November timeframe, when I did look at our homeschool specific data on a town by town basis, our numbers were actually down compared to the previous year. But again, we had not entered fully into our in-person work yet. So I do think some of our homeschool kids are clearly COVID related, and some maybe just due to other circumstances. But I'll find that number for you. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Liz, go ahead.
So as the chair of the finance committee, I am over here out of curiosity looking at the numbers. And I feel it would be remiss to not note that if we added in the homeschool numbers, it would drop our tax rate considerably. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, Liz, I think there is some truth to that. There's also a little gray area that I'm not comfortable fully anticipating yet. And that is because, as we know, please bear with me, this number, the 2019, is what our ADM for this budget building year was based on, as opposed to this 825. So we do know that all schools in Vermont have some grace based on these numbers. But you're right. You know, if our families that are currently homeschooled are enrolled with us in the future, that brings those average daily membership up, which helps to avoid any gap here that can affect finance and tax rates, especially in the future. So we want to pay really close attention to that. Thanks for bringing that up. I see Adrian's hand.
Oh, just a quick question. At your administrative team meetings, have you had the conversation of you know, just from the building administrators on which people might be coming back, which people might, you know, have found a new home on a you know, either away from us or with us?
We have not gone there yet, Adrian. The feedback that I've heard from our building administrators, we just had a decision point where we asked families actually effective next Monday, the 25th, which is the start of our second semester at Mill River, to make a decision on families that were going to stay fully remote as opposed to coming back to school. From my understanding, I saw a couple families indicate that they wanted to come back in person, but most people were staying in the remote mode. I think they're waiting it out to, you know, let the vaccine run its course. But that's a good cue for us to start to have those conversations and tease out what we do and don't know about what people are doing. So we'll move on that. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, thanks.
Tammy, I don't see any other hands, so I'll pass on to Brian if that's okay.
Sure.
And I believe Brian is with us by phone, just so that you're aware that that phone is probably him.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Tammy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, first I'll say thank you, board members. I appreciate the work that you do. It's late evening nights and it's hard work. So thank you for everything you do and you maybe don't get recognition for. My report does not have anything terribly new in it. We are just getting ready to, the analogy I typically use this time of year is get on the roller coaster. We're going to be going downhill to the end of the year and we're kind of locked in and everything's getting ready to start moving. That's around assessments, which no huge updates from the state there. We're still planning on state federal assessments as we are in person, so we'll see how that plays out. Realms of technology and health, where we're continuing to do the work we've been doing, and it's nice that some of the uncertainty has dropped a little bit, and we've been able to pretty much keep doing what we're doing and trying to do the best job we can at it. I wish I had more new to tell you, but it's kind of a nice thing not to have too much new going on. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Brian? I don't see anyone raising their hand or indicating that. Oh, wait, no, Adrian does.
No, I just wanted to congratulate Brian on being boring. Boring is fine. We're good.
I'll take it. Thank you, Adrian.
Okay. George has a question.
I have to remember to hit the red button. Anyways, I noticed in going over the pay orders that some MacBooks have been ordered. And my question is, are those replacements for existing or are they something new?
George, those are replacements for existing, and it's always, we try to keep a handful of spares on hand just in case something happens. You know, we can grab a teacher's MacBook to try and repair, and we can hand them one that they can use in the meantime. And we ordered those a little bit ahead of maybe needing them, just because everything's taken a little bit longer these days to actually get our hands on. So we ordered a few more than we probably normally would to have on hand, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. A follow-up question is, I thought at one time I heard you say, hang on, excuse me. I thought I heard you say that we were going to the Chromebooks versus the Apples. Is that still a plan, or?
That's a transition we've talked about a lot and we've played around with, and we've struggled with really how to do that and to do it well, knowing that teachers do have more applications and things that they sometimes need access to versus what's on a Chromebook. I think we could do it, but you know, the last year has kind of put that on pause, and we didn't want to change anything that would throw anybody for too much of a loop, if that makes sense.
It does. The thing that I noticed is that the price on Chromebooks seems to be climbing. Is that correct, for as far as you know?
Yeah, you know, actually, the price for Chromebooks across the board, probably about 4 months ago, they had climbed dramatically. I'd almost say that folks were starting to price gouge 4 months ago. They've dropped back down since then, but they didn't drop all the way back down. We still haven't seen the supply try and catch up with the demand at this point. While the Chromebook prices are going up a little bit, they're still nowhere close to buying a MacBook, if that puts it in some more context.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, absolutely, George.
Okay, anyone have any other questions or comments for Brian? Okay, I don't see anybody, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Andrew, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I'd just like to extend my gratitude as well to all the board members. Thank you for everything that you do. I also want to congratulate Kristen once again. And as Tyler was saying, I am incredibly excited about her project. As a Rowland Fellow, I've seen a number of projects come along, and you know, certainly there's some good things, but her project jumped out at me right away. And the other thing I'd really like to emphasize with Kristen's project is how well it dovetails with everything that we're already engaged in. It literally is the perfect complement to the work we've been engaged with around proficiency-based learning, around curriculum assessments, etc. And as Tyler and Kristen said, like we've been talking a lot, and I think we're going to see some really amazing things that will just help bolster the work that we've been engaged with. So thank you once again to Kristen, and I look forward to the work that we'll be doing. With regard to my board report, nothing really more to talk about than what's in there. You know, we've been providing some professional development opportunities for teachers when the times arise, but teachers are, you know, pretty spent. A lot of them are, you know, kind of in survival mode, and so we're trying to be sensitive to not push them too hard and throw too much at them. And so we're putting some stuff out there, but what we're seeing is a lot of teachers are not engaging with some of those PD opportunities that are optional because they just don't have the bandwidth to really go into that. And so we will be thinking about the capacity building needs moving forward, but for the time being, we're trying to not push too hard on teachers and give them some space and just provide them with what they need. Additionally, a lot of what I've been doing is long-range planning, particularly around this idea of a coordinated curriculum, which is something that we've already been engaged with, but we kind of lost the momentum with that once COVID came around. And so trying to plan kind of a re-engagement strategy with how we kind of move forward with that as we exit COVID and enter into our next academic year. So probably later on in the spring, I'll be able to kind of provide all of you with some of that kind of planning and guidance moving forward. But again, we're trying to not jump into that yet because we're only halfway through the year. And so looking at really kind of closing the loop to make sure that we can get to a guaranteed and viable curriculum that we can effectively provide to all students.
Excellent. Any questions for Andrew? Comments? Okay, thank you. Hi, Coral, how are you?
Hi, Tammy. I'm well, thank you. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well.
Good to hear. So not too awful much in my report, but I do want to take the opportunity just to back up a minute and talk a little bit more about home study, because that is a role that tends to overlap. I tend to have kind of a hand in sort of monitoring the ebb and flow of kids who are enrolled in home study. So just want to go back on that for a minute. And the reason I just want to talk about that is because I want to caution people when we talk about the kids that are enrolled in home study, because there are going to be students showing up on our home study report who are no longer legal residents of our district. So what I mean by that is that a child may have been attending our schools and enrolled in our schools in December, and they've now moved out of our district. They're still going to show up on our home study report for a year. So what that means is that even though those families have moved and they're gone, we're still going to see them on our report as students in our towns. So I just want to caution that while we may see a lot of names on our home study reports, those kids may not actually be here. So that's just one piece of caution that I throw out there, is it doesn't actually look the way it is on paper. So what happens is that when a family leaves, because we were their last known public school, we are going to be notified that that student is a home study student. So they're going to show up as home study to the Mill River Unified Union School District, even though they're gone. So we have kids actually that are living out of state that still show up on our home study reports. And it'll be that way for at least a 1-year cycle. So just throwing that out there, that is a piece. Consequently, we also have kids who have never been enrolled in public school that are long-term home study students. So they've never stepped foot in a public school. And so that is not necessarily reflected either. So for example, when I get the home study reports every month, I'm showing kids from Fairhaven, I'm showing kids from Rutland City, all over the place, New York, whatever it might be. And other school districts may see some of our students. So that just speaks to some of the transiency that families are experiencing as they settle elsewhere or as they move in, things like that. And the last piece I just want to point out is that because of some of the backlog that has been experienced at the AOE level, we have kids showing on our home study enrollment that are now back in school with us. Conversely, we have kids that are no longer attending school with us that haven't shown up on the home study report yet. So there's just a lot of factors to be aware of around that. So when we start talking about like declining numbers of kids going, here and there, I just want to make folks aware there's a lot of factors to be thinking about with regard to that. So that's a crash course on home study, but if you have questions, I deal with it for a living. I have, kind of a hand in that around special services, but also around residency verifications for kids if we have questions about where they might be living or, things like that. So it's something we have to watch pretty carefully. So This year in particular, home study has been a real bear because there are more families that are choosing to take advantage of that, but it's been, you know, several months of time before a kiddo might show up on the report, so we have to keep track of all that. So anyway, so that's that, but not too much in my report on the special services side, except that we are you know, moving ahead as the circumstances allow us to. One of the things I'll point out is just that we're making awesome headway with conducting special ed evaluations. The challenging thing this year has just been when we have kids who are absent from school for 10 or, you know, 14 days or, you know, whatever it might be because they're ill or they have to quarantine, that can really slow the process down. So we're working through those circumstances, but all in all, as we're coming into February, you know, we're just moving ahead, which is all I can ask for this year. So.
Excellent. I think Adrian has a question.
Carl, is there any leniency on the federal guidelines for timing, or have you not run into that with these challenges that you're talking about on the testing side?
You know, there's mechanisms in the law that allow us to delay evaluations, but the purpose of that delay has to be a student-centered reason, like the student wasn't available for the testing to occur, or the student was ill, or, you know, something like that. And so no, I guess no, there's really there's no leniency except in cases where the student had to be out for quarantining or illness, something like that.
And since I know your staff is like razor thin, well, I mean, you know,
yeah,
I think it's been like that. I mean,
it has.
It's great that you do what you do with, you know, with the number of people you have. But are you running into problems with that as in testing, or is it really more student centered?
You know, I mean, we're making it work as best as we can. You know, the testing, it sort of just moves along as it will. You know, parents have been great, though, I will say, like, about understanding, like, you know, hey, I know so-and-so wasn't in school. I know you couldn't evaluate. So that piece of things has actually been okay for us. Definitely watching caseloads, though, carefully at the high school regarding students already in special ed. Those numbers are getting high. So that's kind of where the staffing issue is coming in a little bit on the special services side.
Well, I hope some extra resources are available at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other questions or comments for Coral? Okay, thank you, Coral. Hi, Gary.
Good evening, folks. How is everybody? It's winter. It's cold. I'm looking outside the window right now. It's snowing again. So what's all that mean for my departments? It means that we are really looking forward to spring already. It's, you know, been an interesting year, but relatively speaking, things are going fairly well. There isn't anything that we haven't been able to deal with yet. Nothing unusual. It's the routine winter type heat seasoning things that we're running into. There's really nothing major to report. It's the routine stuff for right now. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Any questions for Gary?
All our furnaces are staying like functioning with all that cold, fresh air coming in?
They are stressed. As of right now, everything is full open to the outside world, if you will. We're using monitors for the carbon dioxide levels in our spaces and bringing in, you know, a lot of fresh air. Things are keeping up at the moment. We've had to kick a few things to get them working again. They're not used to being stressed this much this early in the season, but so far things are holding together.
Yeah, I don't like that word stressed.
George.
How you doing, Gary?
I'm fine. How are you, George?
Doing well. I just wanted to have a quick update on our solar efforts. We've had a lot of snow, and I presume you don't have somebody up there brushing them off.
No, you can actually see a decline in the generation of our electricity from the solar panels, and that reflects in the bills that we get. You know, Stan and I were talking the other day about how low our electric bills have been. They've been, you know, let's take the high school. They've been in the, you know, $700-800 range on a monthly basis for a while. I think the last one was close to $4,000, which
Yes.
still is well below what our norm would have been before. But you can really see the decline with the snow cover and with the shortage of daylight hours.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else for Gary? Okay. Gary, I'd just like to personally say that I appreciate everything that you and the custodial staff have done to keep the buildings clean and, you know, just keeping up with keeping everybody safe. That's quite an undertaking. And, you know, just it's amazing how with all of these protocols in place, you don't really hear, much less no COVID, we hear not much about colds or the flu or anything else. So kudos to everyone that's working really hard behind the scenes on that front to keep everybody safe and keep our kids healthy. So thank you.
Thank you, and I'll pass that along to the staff. Thank you.
Okay, Carrie, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Hello, everyone. And I want to also join my colleagues in thanking all of you on the board. And I also want to say that's not just because of having gratitude about your support, but recognizing that that support is actually helping us get a lot of the funding that we have coming in for after school and summer. Believe it or not, this monthly connection that I have with you, I don't have a single colleague in the state that is allowed a little bit of time with the board every month. So I just want to say thank you for that. I really appreciate it. My staff is really happy to be back with kids this week, and I'll just be real brief here. 3 things we're working on. Number 1, we're getting ready for our district-wide program assessment. And within after school, what that is it's a social emotional learning assessment. We don't look at content. We don't look at proficiencies. We look at processes through which people are working with children. And we have a number of indicators and an evidence-based assessment that we use for looking at those processes. Second thing, we're doing some capacity building, looking at some grants. I really want to thank the principals, Fred, Maureen, the tutoring programs that you're doing and engaging teachers. It's really taking a little bit of the pressure off of my staff by having that 2 to 3 hour with some of your teachers helping. Dan, you've got a teacher helping out. Again, thanks so much. We really appreciate that. Last thing is summer. Summer this year, we're going to start the planning early, and summer is a huge opportunity for us to really start to recoup some of that learning loss that's normal for our low-income kids usually during the year, but with COVID, summer can be just a phenomenal opportunity for our district to, again, give kids not just opportunities they haven't had with enrichment, but with learning. So I'm really looking forward to that. And the last thing is, which is very nice news, is we actually underspent our BOWS trust grant by $18,488 this year, and I just had permission to roll that over to this year for programming. So that's really good news for us. What that does is that'll give a boost to the summer program, particularly for grades 5 through 9. And I'm also going to be working with actually Deborah Bosch a little bit with some innovative literacy programs for her freshmen that she's going to be teaching, and that'll be covered by the BOWS Trust grant as well. So that's fresh news, and I'm really excited about that. We have another $16,000 coming in this year from that grant, but again, had that permission. So thank you to the Health Trust, wonderful resource, and thank you to all of you for your help.
Great, thank you, Carrie. Any questions, comments for Carrie? No, wonderful news, congratulations. Oh, Liz, yes.
I just want to say thank you to Carrie, because Vermont after school and our local after school program is so important to families. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And George.
If I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to backtrack just a tiny bit for a quick item, and it involves our Clarendon Elementary School. and Fred's still there, so I thought I would bring it up versus waiting for the finance report. One of the items that I noticed as I was reading through the finances for today was an item that I think I might have misread, or it was an acronym or something, I'm not sure. But according to what I saw, apparently the education at Clarendon is becoming more intense because there was an item of $1,500 for tents. I was wondering what that was about.
Fred, do you want to fill us in?
Sure. I was going to make a joke about you being too tense, George, but I won't do that. We had in the beginning when COVID first hit, we had some COVID money that came through that we tried to utilize so that we could do some outdoor classrooms, so that we could distance the kids, get them out, have their masks off and whatnot. And so that's what those tents were ordered for originally. The state, swung around, did some manipulating and delayed a little bit on the approval. But once the approval came through, we got the tent. So that's what that is for.
Great.
But it is good, intense training. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, George. Thanks, Fred. And thank you, Carrie. So we'll move on to Stan.
Oops, good evening. I didn't submit a formal report, so I'm just going to wing it. The last report that I had done for the general fund was back on January 13th. Really nothing has changed in the last couple of weeks. Our deficit is still projected around $327,000, which is still under budget by about $270,000. So we're still good there. As far as what the business office is currently working on, we're just working on year-end reports regarding W-2s, 1099s, and 1094s. We'll hope to have those out by either the end of this week or the beginning of next week. Then just trying to reconcile our people out on leave, trying to get the COVID pay credit for all those people that were eligible, and also working on support staff contracts. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions for Stan? Don't see any. Thank you, Stan.
Thank you.
Now we will move on to tech contract approval. So Brian, that speaks of you, yes?
Yep, and this is one that's coming to you a little early. It would be something I'd probably do in a couple of months if it were a normal year. But I've got a vendor that we work with who has computers that are going to be available very soon. And these days, trying to get 100 computers at a time from anybody without paying twice as much as you should has become challenging. So I would ask the board to review the proposal and make a motion tonight if you're willing to do so.
Great, thank you. Would someone like to make that motion? BJ.
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of the Chromebooks.
Second.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, George. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please give me a thumbs up. Oh, no, wait, Andy has a question or a comment.
There we go. For the record, we ought to put the price of the contract in the proposal.
Okay, so I see $26,478 for 100 computers from Whaley Computer Associates. Would that be correct, Brian?
Absolutely.
Okay, so BJ, would you amend the motion to that effect?
Yes, I will amend the motion so to approve. I'm trying to get the number myself.
Actually, before you speak, BJ, Stan has his hand up. Sorry.
Okay, Stan.
Since this is a formal bid that comes under Vermont law, usually it's appropriate to list out all bids that were received. I don't know if that was done publicly.
I can include the second and third bids if we need to. Do we need those right now, Stan?
Usually that's the case when it's a Vermont public bid, is that we list out the bids that we received and then suggest the bid that we're accepting.
Do you need a few minutes, Brian, to pull that out? Would you like us to circle back after our executive session, maybe?
Absolutely. If you do that, I'll have enough time to grab that and send it to everybody.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. So officially, should I rescind my?
For right now, I would say that we would rescind that motion, and then we can bring it up again when we have all the information and we can word it appropriately. Thank you, Stan, for making sure we did the right thing.
Okay. So I rescind that motion.
Or withdraw. Okay,
Withdraw
great.
my motion.
Thank you. So then I think the next item that we have to attend to would be our executive session. And we have a need for an executive session for the evaluation or employment of a public employee. So would someone care to make that motion? Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Liz, for seconding it. All those in favor of going into executive session at 8:15? Yes, Len, for that purpose? Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was a question. Sorry. Please give me a thumbs up. All right. So we are in executive session. We will, Dave will be sending us a link, correct?
Yes, board members.
Question.
Did George have a question?
No.
Oh, I think George just wanted to make sure he had the link.
Yes.
Yeah, so board members, you should have a link for executive session in your email. If you would make sure to leave this meeting entirely, but we will revisit this meeting. Of course, building administrators, central office administrators, you're off the hook. However, to the board, if you're willing to allow Jen McLemore and Tyler Wiedemann to join us in executive session, I believe that would be appropriate and timely. And George, if you want me to send you the link via email the way I have historically, I'd be happy to do that. Would you like me to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, can do.
And then for our public, we will be back to continue the meeting. We'll circle back to the tech contract approval when we come back from executive session. So thank you, and we will see you shortly. And I will see the board members and Jen and Tyler in executive session. Thank you. Okay, so we will circle. We've come out of executive session at 8:58 with no action taken. We're going to circle back to the tech contract approval. Brian, are you with us and ready?
Yep, absolutely. If you are, thank you all for giving me a second to scramble and get that stuff for you. Sorry I didn't have it prepared. So the two other quotes that we've got here attached in the paperwork with this, we've got one from B&H Photo for $28,900 and one from CDW for $29,199. So the one in the paperwork that I had distributed already was the Whaley for $26,478.
And that's the one that you're recommending that the board go with.
Yeah,
correct?
based on cost and based on availability too.
Excellent. So BJ.
I will make the motion that we approve the Wally Communications contract at $26,478 for 100 Chromebooks.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, George. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of accepting the proposal from Whaley Whaley Computers, oh my goodness, for $26,478 for 100 Chromebooks, as moved, please give me a thumbs up. Anyone opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Okay, there you are, Brian. Do you need anything else in connection with that?
Nope. That's perfect. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move on to committee business. So Len, you're up first for personnel.
Hi, everybody. Here we are. First order of business, we have a couple things. First order of business is a contract for Ethan Michael Studley, excuse me, as a substitute special education paraeducator at Wallingford Elementary School. That may be incorrect. I might be looking at the wrong thing. Hang on.
No, Len, you're correct. That Wallingford in the Foundations program specifically.
Okay. I knew there was something else to it. So I would move that we offer Mr. Studley, and it's a 1.0 full-time equivalency, so I would move that we make that contract offer to Mr. Studley.
Second.
Thank you, George. Any discussion? I would just ask one question, Dave. If my recollection is correct, Ethan Studley is a Mill River student, recent graduate? Okay.
Yeah, Ethan graduated in 2018. He actually worked for us as a substitute last year, did a lot of subbing at Wallingford. We have an unofficial in-house protocol where our folks that are under 21, if they sub, that it needs to be at the elementary level, just because we want to keep some age gap with middle school and high school kids. But Ethan did a great job for us last year. Subbed in a program that we are prepping to hire him for, and he's filling a position that's important, and good guy. He'll be a good asset for us to have on the team.
Okay, that's good news to hear. So all those in favor of approving the contract for Ethan Studley as presented, give me a thumbs up. Anyone opposed, please say no. And any abstentions? Okay, congratulations to Ethan and welcome to the Mill River community.
Welcome back to the Mill River community.
Correct, Glenn, correct.
The next movement is upon the recommendation of the Mill River High School administration, I move that Jennifer Clough Little, English teacher at Mill River High School, be non-renewed for the 21-22 school year.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion for non-renewal of Jennifer Clough Little's as an English teacher at Mill River for the 21-22 school year, please give me a thumbs up. Anyone opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? There you have it, Len.
And the next official personnel meeting will be February 3rd at 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
We move to BJ for policy.
I will be happy to report no new business. And I'm planning our meeting at the first Tuesday of February.
Excellent. Thank you. And negotiations, Adrian.
Sorry, I had to unmute. I have nothing to add from last time.
Okay. Buildings and grounds, John.
I also have nothing new. Our next meeting is January 2nd.
Okay. We move to Maria.
January 2nd?
Oh,
February 2nd. Sorry, February 2nd.
Sorry.
We're moving backwards in time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. So John, buildings and grounds. No, Maria, community engagement. Jeepers. It is getting late. Look, my brain's not working.
I'm right there with you. So we do have a meeting next week on Tuesday, the 26th, at 6:30. We also have a community conversation coming up on Monday, the 25th. And we're looking forward to that. We still have 2 more after that on February. Let me just check really quick. I know it's February 22nd. Or
6th?
February 22nd and the 6th are our other 2. And sorry, I have to change windows to look at that. And we still would like to invite people to come if they have any questions for the school board or questions about the budget or are running for school board and want to ask more questions to get ready for that. you're welcome to come. There's still a few spaces in the one on Monday night, and there's more spaces in the ones that come after that. So we look forward to talking with people on Monday. Oh, and what came out of our last meeting last week was that we decided we will not, there wasn't a conversation on the 9th as we planned because we didn't have enough people sign up. And we also decided that we will not stream or record those sessions just to make it more comfortable for people to come. It's not a formal board meeting. It doesn't have the same structure as a board meeting. We really want people to feel more comfortable just speaking freely and asking questions. So we will take note of the questions and we will share them afterwards, because if you're asking the question, there's sure to be other people asking the question too and who are curious about the answer. So, but we really look forward to it being a helpful and productive time.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And then Liz, we'll move on to you for policy. For finance. Oh goodness, we need to end this meeting soon. Tammy's losing it.
Put gum in your mouth. It's low glucose. Damn it. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tammy. We have the following payable warrants and payroll for approval this evening. For pay warrants from the general fund, I have a warrant in the amount of $395,682.74. I have a warrant also from the general fund in the amount of $11,223.46. From lunch program, I have a warrant in the amount of $20,454.23. And for ASP, we have a warrant in the amount of $108.90 for a total of $427,469.33. And for payroll this evening, we have one warrant dated January 15th for regular payroll in the amount of $396,467.73. And I move that we accept the payable warrants and payroll as presented. And I meant to thank George first. Where's George? Oh, George.
Right here.
I want to thank George for looking over all of the payables this afternoon. I appreciate that.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you, Adrian. Any discussion? George?
Yes, I'll. All right. I reviewed, as you heard, the orders. I don't know if Doug got a chance to or not, but the questions I had on the pay orders I'd asked during the meeting, including the intense one for our friend at Clarendon. So I'm happy with what I saw.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I looked through as well, actually, this morning. I did find something. It was the electric situation with our solar panels and stuff going out is really starting to make a good difference in what we're spending electricity. I was impressed, especially with the town of Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury Mountain School had electricity for the month of December less than $20. That's just unbelievable that you can get that much stuff, and it's awesome. But everything else seemed to be okay.
Okay, thank you. So any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the pay orders and payroll as presented, please give me a thumbs up. Anyone opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Okay, there you go, Liz.
I'll just add that our next meeting is March 22nd.
Excellent, thank you. So then we will move on, and as you recall, way back at the beginning of this meeting, we added an agenda item for accepting a resignation. It is with a very heavy heart that I have to say that on January 18th, I got a resignation letter from our own board member, Amy Martone. We are all very well aware of Amy's busyness over the past 9+ months, especially. And so her inability to continue on the board is understood. It is not welcome, but understood. But we appreciate everything that she has to do. I know how difficult it is to balance everything, and sometimes something just has to give. So, Amy, before I ask someone to make a motion to accept that resignation letter that I shared with the board earlier this week, did you want to speak to everybody for a second?
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. I want you all to know this was not an easy decision to make. It's something that has weighed on me for the past 9 months. It's been a challenge with the onset of the pandemic and the nature of my work to really find a good balance. Very passionate about the school board, and I want to make sure that everyone on here has the time and energy and effort to really contribute fully. And I felt over the past probably 6 months, I haven't been able to do that. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the emails, keeping up with the reading. And so I really think it's important that we can have someone come on for the last year of my term that's able to really make that commitment. I don't know why, but I started graduate school in August. And so that added just another layer. And so something did have to give. I'm planning to stay on through the end of February. Really important to see the budget season through to vote. And then I want to make sure that the taxpayers and voters of Timoth have the opportunity to select who will take over for me. And I will do everything that I can to support the transition. I'm still here. I'm still part of the community, still have children in the district. And plan to be that way for a while. So you're not done seeing me yet, but I really appreciate your understanding, and I'm really going to miss you guys. It's been an absolute pleasure to serve alongside of you. I've been on a lot of boards, and this board is very passionate and always has the best interests of the students in mind. So it really has just been an absolute honor to know each of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Len.
I would just like to take the opportunity, I'm sure everybody else wants to as well. It was great to have Amy on the board, and she brought a lot to the board, and I appreciate that. And I wish you good luck and goodwill, and thanks for being here as the presence that you were.
George.
Yes, Amy, it's been a pleasure to know you and work with you, and I wish you the best in your endeavors at graduate school, and good luck.
Okay. Would someone care to make the motion to accept? George, you'll make that motion?
With a great deal of reluctance, I move that we accept Amy's letter of resignation.
Is there a second? John, thank you. Any other discussion? Again, with a heavy heart, I think all those in favor of accepting Amy's resignation, please give me a thumbs up. Anyone opposed? I don't know that we can forcibly keep her on, but and anyone abstaining. Okay, well, Amy, again, it's been a pleasure. I hope that if circumstances allow, you will circle back, because you have been a wonderful asset to the district, to the board, and it's been a pleasure. And we are not done with you yet, so we will try and make the next month very worthwhile for you. But thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. We'll move on to transact any other legal business. George.
Well, you know, I can't resist. A couple of quick things. Number one, I did catch some of the inaugurations, and it went well with no violence, which was a big plus in my mind. The second one, a few days ago, I don't remember what day, my name was in the paper at some of the activities in Clarendon regarding town borderlines. And if anybody has any questions, they can send me an email, and I'd be happy to answer them. I don't expect any action to result for a long time on that article. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, agenda building for our February 3rd meeting. Dave, what do we have in store?
You know, Tammy, the first meeting of the month, we usually do principal reports and central
Right.
office. If you'd like us to have those ready, it's a couple weeks out, but we can certainly do it. Is that something you'd like to keep the rhythm going?
I think getting us back on schedule might be a good idea.
You bet.
I don't know if we'll have any policies or anything like that because we'll just have a policy meeting the night before. So no, BJ, right? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything really booked either. So.
Okay. All right. Len.
Just, and this is not necessary for the next meeting. I had all these, a list of questions, David, that I was going to ask you tonight about attendance and who's going where and all of that, and you answered them all. So number one, thank you very much, and you must be reading my paper. But the other, but the other point, just in the same tone, one of the things is looking at absences and failures at the high school as well. And it doesn't need to be for the next meeting by any stretch. And I don't mean to get into a lot of specifics, but just in dealing with my own nephews, I'm seeing questions about whether they're there or not there, whether they're remote or not remote, and I know the semester ends the end of the month or somewhere right around there.
End of this week is the end of the semester, actually.
And so I just think, like, again, it doesn't have to be for the next meeting, but at some point it would be nice, I think, to take a look at the first half of the year and how'd it go. And that's all.
Yeah, you bet. Len, would it make sense if I asked Tyler to kind of take the lead as a part of his report on specifically student attendance, how that's being managed, what we're seeing with trends in the remote and the in-person realm, and then, you know, how that's playing out academically in terms of class performance. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. And you know, I just think we as a board, we need to focus on the educational piece, and we've had some other stuff going on, and so I'd like us to get back to, let's look at what's going on, because hopefully come fall we can all get back, but we're not going to get back before that by any stretch of the imagination, I don't believe. That's my opinion. So I just think we need to examine what impact COVID has had. And again, I'm not trying to blame anyone or point any fingers. I just think it's helpful for us as a board if we have some facts to back up what we're trying to get accomplished.
You bet. Can do. Thank you, Len, for bringing that up.
Okay. Maria, I would just wonder if maybe you could report out on how that first meeting goes with the community. Give us like an overview.
I would be happy to do that. I was going to do that as part of community engagement, or does that make sense?
Excellent. Thank you. I think that covers everything. And I don't believe that we have a need for another executive session. Am I correct? Okay. So then I think we are all of the opinion that we should adjourn. So thank you all very much. Have a good night. Thanks everyone for sticking with us watching, and be well. Take care.
Thank you, Amy.